Hello all, and welcome to Wake Up with Marci. It's time to heal, transform, and be inspired. Today we meet Beth Tiger. She is fighting the fight against human trafficking with her foundation, Durga International. Hear her journey from a struggling single mom to a life coach, author, entrepreneur, and now a force fighting against modern-day slavery. Hear her story of triumph, and may you find strength and purpose through her story. We will also meet Beth's daughter, Sam. She is joining the fight as a youth ambassador for Durga International. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. We're really happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you.
Yes, thank you so much.
You bet, you bet.
Yeah.
So, divorce and a single mom. That's where it started.
That is where it started for me.
So, you had some struggles at that time.
I certainly did. Like most women and men going through divorce, it was a really trying time. And I think actually even leading up to the divorce and not wanting to face the reality that my picture perfect life of 2 children, a successful career, and great marriage was failing.
Yes.
And it took some friend intervention to tell me to get some help, get therapy, and really look at my life and my marriage. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, I was faced with the reality that I had to leave.
Yeah.
And
very hard decision, I know, with children.
it is.
Yeah,
my daughter
to break
was
it up.
a baby.
Very
she
young.
wasn't quite 2.
Okay.
So, and my son was almost 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about them and their life. And I kept using them and their life as the excuse. And one day I looked at both of them and I thought, if I want to raise a really healthy daughter and I want her to have great relationships and I want to raise a healthy young man and I want him to have great relationships, I have to model that. And I wasn't modeling that.
Well, you found the strength. And good for you.
I did.
But then you were a single mom, and that's very difficult.
Well, when I left, I was a co-owner in the business with my ex-husband. And so during that time, there was no money for me. Divorce, brings out the best and the worst in people.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
so, when we were going through that struggle, it was a struggle for me. I moved into a tiny little cottage. The 3 of us slept on separate floors. I had to start a new career because obviously I was no longer working with my ex-husband.
Right.
So I had to pick up and start from scratch and really figure it out with my 2 kids.
Yeah.
It was a
And
lonely
it's really,
time.
and I know how difficult that must have been for you. And you're going through such an emotional time and such a difficult journey at that time, but you picked yourself up and you decided to do something for yourself and you started a career as a life coach.
I did. I was a massage therapist prior to getting married. And so, I was very involved in healing and wellness prior to my marriage. And I walked away from all of that, which I think a lot of women do. I kind of gave up pieces of myself to be in that marriage.
Right. Well, you changed your life. You
Yeah.
start having children.
Yeah.
So yes, that's your second career.
Yeah. So when I went back and I was doing massage therapy, I felt like it wasn't fulfilling me enough. And what really transformed my life and helped me was great counseling, but an excellent coach who challenged me to get out of my pity party and on with my life and out of the story of my divorce and the pain.
Yes.
And so I thought, that was what really helped me. I emptied my IRA savings account and invested it into additional schooling, and I became a coach then.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's some incredible things that came out of your coaching. You created a program.
I did.
Yes. So why don't you tell us about that?
So I created the Flying Solo series. It was actually my give back. I decided that I wanted to give back something to the community because my life was really turning around. I recognized that through service and gratitude, even when I didn't have a lot, I felt like I had so much. I lived in this tiny cottage.
Yes.
I just felt like myself finally. So I went into the Church of Presentation, which is in Upper Saddle River, New Jersey, and they have a great program for divorcees. And I said, I'd love to speak to the group one night. And they were looking for a facilitator for that divorce program. So I did it for a few weeks. And they asked me to create a program for people that are divorced and are still struggling with almost the aftermath of that. They're unable to really move forward. And really it was a challenge because I thought it was going to be one evening, and they sent me the email and they said, it's 8 weeks and it's 2
now
hours.
what's your purpose?
So it was 16 hours of material.
Yes.
So I did my first Flying Solo series for 8 weeks, and that really turned into sessions that I gave all over New Jersey and other parts of the country, and then ultimately led to authoring my book.
Amazing. First of all, I'd like to ask, is that still available for those going through divorce?
Well, the Flying Solo series really now is my Rising from the Ashes of Divorce
So
workbook.
that took you to your book.
Yeah,
so
I created
now
it.
that helps people nationwide.
Exactly.
So your book, Rising from the Ashes of Divorce, how is that broken out?
Well, it's broken down in really bite-sized pieces because what I have found as a coach, speaker, and teacher is that most people don't read the wellness books. They don't finish the workbook.
Yeah.
So I wanted to break it down like I did with my Flying Solo class, and it starts with learning your lesson through your story, like losing the story, learning the lesson.
Yeah.
What is it that you value? Gratitude and service. But it's really in small increments. There's prayers, affirmations, and small bits of homework. And what I have come to know is that people will do it even in circles of like a small women's group will meet once a week.
Yes.
So you can just take maybe the 10 pages and work it for a week.
I love how you simplified the book for everyone. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So from that, you actually opened a wellness center?
I
That's
did.
incredible.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear more about that.
I opened up a Life Well Lived because I was looking for a place to host my Flying Solo sessions without necessarily being in a big church or a big community center. And I wanted a place where women and men could come and figure out what living well looked and felt like for them. So I had my coaching practice there. I had other healers and coaches working out of the center. We did circles and healing circles and women's circles. And I also started carrying fair trade products and slave-free products. And
Wow.
yeah, so it was an incredible space.
And that just led to a whole nother journey for you.
It did.
So when we come back, we will hear more from Beth Tiger and her foundation, Durga Tree International. Welcome back to Wake Up with Marci. I'm here with Beth Tiger and her daughter Sam, and we are going to talk about Durga Tree International, which is a foundation that helps against human trafficking.
Yeah, it's a big cause, but a small but mighty organization founded in North Jersey.
Absolutely. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the statistics because it's so staggering, and I don't think that people really understand how close it is to us and how it is affecting us. So could you share some of the statistics with us?
Well, sadly, it's the second largest black market crime in the world. It has outranked guns. There's an estimated 32 to 35 million people that are trafficked today. It is a multi-billion...
And that's globally.
Globally. But that doesn't even take into consideration little girls that are sold into marriage, and so many of the cases that we don't know about. That's why statistics are really hard with modern slavery, because so much of it is underground. We really don't know. And with so much coercion, people aren't going to come forward and say, I'm being trafficked, especially if their loved ones are
very
being
fearful.
threatened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's labor and sex trafficking.
There's actually multiple forms of trafficking. There's labor trafficking, which is the largest form of trafficking, but not the most profitable. The sex trafficking is the most profitable form. There's also human organs that are trafficked on the black market, which is incredible when you think about that. So there's child marriage. So there's a lot of different forms of trafficking.
Right. So you had this wellness center, and then you had this calling to create Durga Tree International. Why is that?
Well, it was really God's plan for me. I've always been a very deeply spiritual person. And even though I thought I was doing my spiritual work through the Wellness Center and the Flying Solo series, it felt like something was missing. And I received a call to action from an organization called Her Future Coalition. We carried a jewelry line from them, and the executive director reached out to me and had informed me that there were no little girls in the T region in northern India. And they were trying with another organization up there to complete a shelter, and they needed $50,000 to complete the shelter. And this was in March of 2013, and they needed it before the end of the year. And so I felt, after a lot of contemplation and prayer and looking into human trafficking and what an epidemic it is, 71% of those that are trafficked are little girls and women. And I have 3 daughters, and I thought, how do I leave this world a better place?
Right.
I sat down with my husband and my niece, and we decided to create Durga Tree International, which is an organization that supports multiple organizations around the world.
Yes.
So come together, collaborate, and create a movement around ending human trafficking and educating people about their relationship to it.
And let's talk about what that is.
Wow.
How are you doing that?
Well, we're doing it in 2 different ways. We're working directly with survivors around the world, and we have strategically chosen the areas that we work based on goods and services that we receive here in the United States. So for instance, in Guatemala and in Latin America, first of all, they're our neighbors. And there's a huge epidemic of human trafficking down there. And wherever there's poor, it's an economic disease. Wherever there's the poor, there's going to be trafficking. But we also receive so much from our neighbors down there. A lot of people don't even think about where their strawberries and their raspberries are coming from in the winter, or their coffee, or their chocolates. So where those things are being produced, the bottom line is always the bottom line with businesses. So the first things to be cut are usually the labor. And so we chose Guatemala for that reason. There's so much resource that comes out of India. We have textiles, IT, we have jewelry and silks. So we chose those areas. And there's also, again, a lot of demand. So it's our consumption and our consumerism that's driving a component of this epidemic. And most people wouldn't even
Well, it's something we don't think about as a consumer and what impact that we have. And I know that's one of the things that you're doing. You're educating people so they understand that actually as one person, you can make a difference.
100%.
So we're always looking for a deal. We get excited, we find something for $5, and we're like, yeah, but really, what is happening? Why is it so cheap?
Well, that's a great question, because oftentimes we're not thinking about the entire line or succession of how something is produced. We're not thinking about the farmer, the person that's weaving our clothing. Are they getting paid a fair living wage? And if we are going to have something cheap, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's not the corporation that's not making the money. It's the poor and the vulnerable that are potentially not getting paid, or they're getting underpaid, which leaves them and their children vulnerable. The farmer that's, getting exploited, so then he's sending his children to other places, hopefully to get a job where they're being picked up by traffickers. So it really is a disease of economics. So the question of where do my things come from, who is making them, and how are they being cared for is really important. Because here in the United States, our companies will stay within our labor guidelines, but then they outsource. And the corporations and the companies in the other countries don't have to stay in our standard.
Do not. Absolutely.
So it's a huge issue. And where there's labor trafficking, there's sexual exploitation and abuse. It always goes hand in hand.
Yes, absolutely. So how can we make a difference? What can we do?
Well, there are some really simple things. And that's why we formed Durga. We didn't want it to feel overwhelming. We wanted it to feel collaborative. Durga is the goddess with all of the arms. Many hands make light work. So first of all, buyer dollars have all the power. Companies change only when they're not going to get the money from the consumer. So by asking where your things come from, you can begin to make a change. Simple questions. So where is this manufactured? You can go online, and most companies have their standard of ethics, if they are fair trade, what they're, how they operate in the international market. You can ask on Instagram, who made my clothes? You can follow hashtags like Fashion Revolution, True Cost, Fast Fashion. There's so much out there on social media.
If somebody's watching and they're not big on social media, could they reach out to you and find out about
Well,
this?
I was just going to say that on our website, durgatreeinternational.org, there is a conscious shopping guide. There's links to all kinds of wonderful vetted companies where you can shop. You can shop for makeup. You can shop for clothing.
Wonderful.
There's fair trade food organizations on there. So always check out our website. We're always updating it. When somebody tells us, oh, listen, we've got fair trade sterling silver or gems. I mean, those things we don't even think about, the mining and children mining.
Absolutely, I know.
So we keep up on that.
Wonderful. And tell us your website.
So it's durgatreeinternational.org.
Okay, wonderful. So great resource to have.
It is.
When we come back, we will hear about the Youth Ambassador Program, and Sam is a big part of that, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Wake Up with Marci. So you have a Youth Ambassador Program. I want to hear about that, and Sam, you're very involved with that. So why don't you tell us about the program?
We decided that one of the ways that we could move the needle to reduce slavery was by educating the next generation of consumer and also international traveler.
Yeah.
So how could we empower our young? So we created a Youth Ambassador Program. We have chapters in California, Oregon, here in New Jersey, and in New England. We have active youth ambassadors. We actually have a fantastic youth ambassador out in California who's going to be doing a fair trade fashion show.
Amazing.
In high schools, we have high schools here in New Jersey that are also participating as youth ambassadors.
So Sam, you're a youth ambassador.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your mission and what you're doing and contributing.
Right, so the Youth Ambassador Program is a great way for young people to get involved, and being in it, I realized how easy it is to do DIY fundraisers and just things to get involved and help Durga. For instance, for my 16th birthday, instead of a Sweet 16, which is very popular among girls who are turning 16, good big party, a lot of gifts.
Yes.
I created a fundraiser on Facebook.
Amazing.
So I just asked people to donate $5, $10, whatever. My goal was to raise at least $1,600. And within 21 days, from December 1st to December 21st, I managed to raise almost $1,700, which was amazing.
Yes.
And we went to Guatemala the next year, and I saw the money in action. We went to the store and bought toys and different things for the girls, and it's amazing to see how just something small like that, 21 days, can make such a big difference.
How was it for you in Guatemala? What was it like?
It was really life-changing. You know, you hear about it, and you're like, oh, that's horrible, you know. But going to Guatemala and seeing girls my age who, you know, I can relate to in some way and younger. Some of them are pregnant, they have babies, or they've just been through so much, and it's very humbling, first of all, but it was really amazing to talk to them and, you know, realize that they're young and they're children and they just want to have fun, and you know, it's really heartbreaking to see, but it was definitely, my life was so different afterwards.
Absolutely. So what were these girls telling you?
We were talking about, you know, what we want to be when we grow up, and like dreams, and you know, they talked about how they want to study in the United States, or just, you know, they want to be a doctor or a nurse. They have the same dreams that we do. And so talking to them, it was very interesting. It was like, wow, I don't even realize how much I have and how lucky I am. So it was good to relate to them on that level.
Very eye-opening, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You helped them creatively also.
Yes, I did a Photoshop workshop with them. So we got a bunch of digital cameras, and they each got one. They were in pairs, and we just walked around their space and took pictures of flowers, and they did self-portraits, and they were jumping up and like smiling, and having so much fun. They don't get to do anything like that. And I think you know, creativity and art is a great therapy for them.
Absolutely.
So it was cool, you know, photography is one of my passions, so it was really awesome to see that in action and how it can kind of change a life of somebody.
Yeah. So I know there's a significance to you wearing blue today, so tell us what that is.
Well, January 11th is National Anti-Trafficking Awareness Day, and wearing blue throughout the month is about raising awareness. So on social media, as Sam said, you can hashtag why I wear blue, end human trafficking, and you can even look those hashtags up, and you'll see a lot of education and awareness around anti-trafficking throughout the month of January.
Tell us some of those hashtags.
So it's end human trafficking, no more slavery, why I wear blue, Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. I know, because you can get so much information from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So if someone would like to be involved with Durga Tree International or the Ambassador Program, how could they go about that?
The easiest way to go about that is to go onto our website. On our website, we do have a youth ambassador section. They can sign in, they can read all about what's involved, how they can get involved, ways they can make a difference. They can fill out a form, and our director of educational initiative, which is Jess Hortel, who's also the co-founder, gets in touch with them. She gives them simple tips and tools. There's also a Travel Safely Abroad toolkit we have for college-age children who are traveling abroad to protect our children when they travel internationally.
Yes.
So we offer that to any college-age student that's traveling.
That's amazing.
Awareness
Tell
is
the
key.
parents a few things that are in that kit.
Well, I think for parents, they don't think about 911. Should they register their child with the U.S. government when they're traveling abroad?
Right.
Uber, how to pick an Uber safely, or an Airbnb.
Yes.
So there's a lot of material,
Yeah.
but it's broken down into bite-sized pieces.
Incredible.
Yeah, we had college interns come and help us create that,
Wonderful.
like really geared towards what they would want and need. And
It's going to give a lot of parents some peace, I'm sure.
Exactly,
I'm sure with
exactly.
there's so many children that are studying abroad now. So we've talked about the Youth Ambassador Program and how you can get involved, but what if they want to help Durga Tree International or become a part of it themselves?
well, reach out to us via our Instagram page, Facebook page. You can contact us through our website. We're right in Sparta, so we're really hands-on. We're a small organization. We do a walk in Ridgewood every May. There's lots of different ways. We have monthly donations. We do an immersion to Guatemala every year. We're going again this April. So there's a lot of different ways for people to get involved. And it's not necessarily financial. It can even just be following us on social media and sharing our posts and just raising awareness.
Let me tell you, that's a big part of it also.
Exactly.
Creating the awareness, as you've talked about.
Growing the movement.
Growing the movement, and as you said to me earlier, about a community.
Yeah. It takes a community.
A real tribe and community, right, to make a difference.
It does.
Well, thank you for your mission and all that you're doing and helping against human trafficking and bring to light for us these staggering statistics and ways that we can help. And just as a consumer, I got to tell you, I mean, it's alarming to think what we're doing when we're just looking for that next deal.
It's true, but you know, when I think back on my journey and I think about when I went through my divorce and where I am now, it's also just taking life in those bite-sized pieces and doing what you can do. You know, start by starting and serving others, moving outside of yourself a little bit. So it's my pleasure and my honor to do what I do.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Wake Up, and it's been great speaking with you.
Thank you for having us.
A true healing journey. Beth Tiger goes from her struggles as a single mom to now educating consumers about human trafficking. I want to leave you with this one thought. Someone becomes a victim of human trafficking every 30 seconds. It's unfathomable. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, be kind and be happy.